previous lecture we have discussed about the half wave rectifier and we find out the property of the half wave rectifier. In case of the half wave rectifier, we have discussed that the DC current in the half wave rectifier is given by Im by pi. Then if you find out the RMS value of the load current, then it is given as IRMS is equal to Im by 2. Then from this two current, we have calculate the efficiency of the half wave rectifier, and the maximum efficiency of the half wave rectifier is 40.6%. Then we have calculate what is the ripple factor. The ripple factor in case of the half wave rectifier comes out to be 121%. So whenever we are discussing any kind of the rectifier circuit, then this much parameter we have to calculate. Now here in this case, we can see the efficiency of the half wave rectifier is only 40%. It means the 40% of your AC energy is converted into DC energy. So this efficiency is very poor, because in the rectifier we require the maximum conversion of the AC to DC energy. Then the another parameter is a ripple factor. This ripple factor already mentioned that it is giving the comparison between the amplitude of your AC component and the DC component. Here this indicates the ripple factor is 121%, means indicate that the amplitude of the AC component is 121% higher than the DC component. So basically here if you see that this is not providing the proper DC power. So these are the two major disadvantages of the half wave rectifier. So this efficiency and the ripple factor, these two parameters we can improve in case of the full wave rectifier. So now let us see what is the full wave rectifier. You can see this circuit diagram of the full wave rectifier where we are using the 2 PN junction diode. Here if you look at this circuit properly, then you will find that this upper part, means this part of the circuit, is nothing but it is one of the half wave rectifier. And in the lower part of the circuit, this diode with the load resistance Rm is also another half wave rectifier. So the full wave rectifier consists of a two half wave rectifier, but for both the half wave rectifier, the load resistance Rm is common. Okay. Now if you see in a secondary of the transformer, here the transformer in the secondary we have two different coils are there and they are connected together. This is known as a center tap transformer. So center tap transformer means the coil is there, but it is wounded in such a way that in upper part of the transformer, whatever the number of the turns are there, the same number of the turns are in the lower part of the transformer. So it is like this, that here in the secondary, if it is going to be wounded like a 100 number of the turns, 100 number of the turns are there, then from the same copper wire, the another coil is going to be wounded for the 100 number of the turns. So this point is a common point for both the coil, and therefore it is known as a center tap. So here in the upper part, the number of the turns, and the lower part, the number of the turns are same. So whatever the voltage will be induced in the upper part of the transformer and will be the same as the voltage induced in the lower part of the transformer. Correct? So magnitude will be same. But remember, here there will be a phase difference of 180 degree. So here in a upper part, let us say we have a plus 5 volt is induced AC voltage, then in the lower part at the same time minus 5 will be there. Because there is a 180 degree, here you can consider this is a 0, means this will be a plus, minus, and this will be a plus and minus. So here at the two ends of the transformer, there is a phase difference of 180 degree, and due to that the secondary voltage will be also a phase difference of 180 degree. Okay. So if you look at this, that in upper part, let us say the induced EMF is a Vs1 voltage, and in the lower part, the induced voltage is Vs2. So if I will draw this waveform, then the waveform will be like this for the Vs1 and Vs2. So induced voltage in the upper part is this. We call this as Vs1 0 to pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and this is my omega t axis. And the maximum voltage is a Vm voltage. Now at the same time, if you see what is the voltage in Vs2, then it is going to be like this. So here 0 to pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and this is my omega t axis. So if you see the maximum voltage here, it is minus Vm. This voltage Vs1 we can write as a Vn sin omega t, and the Vs2 voltage can be written as Vn sin omega t minus pi. Remember, because the phase difference between these two voltages is 180 degree, and omega t minus pi means we can write this as a minus Vn sin omega t. Correct? Okay. Now let us see the working of the full wave rectifier circuit. So basically here, whatever the center tap is there, this center tap is connected to the ground. So the potential at this point will be always a 0. Here this is my reference line. So the potential at this point we consider as a 0. So with respect to this, if you see the voltage at this end, we have a positive voltage. When we have a positive voltage, means I am talking about this time period between 0 to pi. So on upper side we have this positive voltage. At the same time here if you see we have a negative voltage. Means on the upper side the positive cycle is there. At the same time in a lower part we have a negative cycle. Now we know that this anode of the diode D1, here this is the anode and cathode, this is the anode and the cathode of the diode D2. Now anode of this diode D1 is positive, so this diode will be in a forward bias, and here this anode is connected to a negative voltage, so this diode will be in a reverse bias. So diode D1 will act as a short circuit. Due to this forward bias, this will act as a short circuit, and this will act as a open circuit. So now here if you see what is the flow of the current. So the current is coming out from the transformer. Here it is coming out from the transformer. Then due to this forward bias, the current is going to flow in this way. Now here we have this center. But if you look at this, that this current here at this point the current will not flow because the diode D2 is in a reverse bias. So it is offering a very high resistance. So this current will not flow in this way, but the current has to flow through this load resistance RL. So it will pass through the RL and coming back to the transformer. So here this current will flow like this. We can call this current as a IL1. And this current is entering from this point. So this terminal is going to be positive and it is coming out from this end. So this terminal is going to be negative. And then this current will be entered and it will complete the path. So during the positive cycle, diode D1 is in forward bias, D2 is in reverse bias. As a result, the current is flowing in the load resistance RL, and here if you see this waveform, then you will get this current that is between the 0 to pi, and this is due to the diode D1. Here I am going to draw the waveform for the load current IL. Okay. Now the negative cycle means that after the pi we have a negative cycle. Means at this point now the negative voltage is there. This negative cycle is, and at the same time here if you see we have this positive voltage. So this will be a positive. Means the positive cycle is present. So due to this positive cycle, here the diode D2 will be in a forward bias and it will work as a short circuit. And the diode D1 will be in a reverse bias. This is in reverse bias and it will work as a open circuit. So now if you look at what is the flow of the current, then this flow of the current we can draw in this way. Always the current is coming out from the transformer. So this current is coming out from the transformer. Now this is in a forward bias. So it will pass through this diode like this, and then it is coming to this junction. So again now you will find the junction. So normally at the junction the current is going to be divided, but this current will not flow. This current will not flow in this direction because the diode D1 is an open circuit. It is in a reverse bias. So the current has to pass through this load resistance RL, and this current we call it IL2. And then after this coming out from this, the current is coming back to the transformer. So in this way, during this negative cycle, the D1 is in reverse bias, D2 is in forward bias, and the current is flowing in the load resistance RL. So we can draw this current like this. And this current is due to the diode D2. You can call that this one is IL1, this is my IL2. And the same thing is going to be repeated. So again the next cycle, here we have a positive voltage, at that time this is negative voltage, then again the diode D1 will be in a forward bias and you will get the current between the 2 pi and 3 pi. Then the diode D2 will be in a forward bias between 3 pi and 4 pi. So this is again IL1, this one is IL2. So you are getting this current like this. Remember. Okay. Now what is important? Here you can see that at the transformer, this current is flowing in this direction, this current is flowing in opposite direction. Correct? So that is representing the AC current. But here, that IL1 as well as the IL2, both the currents are flowing in the same direction. So it is a unidirectional current. And unidirectional current means it is called a DC current. And here also you can see that the current is flowing only in one direction. We don't have negative current. Whatever the current is there, it is a positive current only. Okay? So and both the currents are flowing in the same direction. So here we have a positive terminal and here we have a negative terminal of the rectifier circuit. Now again here you will find that whatever the load current is flowing, it is not a pure AC and it is not a pure DC, because the current is flowing increasing, decreasing, increase, decrease. That is the characteristics of AC. But this current is not changing the direction. So that is the characteristics of DC. So whatever the current we have, it is again a combination of a AC and DC current, or you can say it is a pulsating DC current. It is called a pulsating DC current. Okay? Now, what will be the expression for this load current IL1 and IL2? So, here I already told you that whenever you want to calculate the current, then simply you apply the Ohm's law. So, IL1 will be equal to a VS1 divided by RL plus RL plus RS. Remember, why we have a IL1 equal to VS1 divided by this? Because at that time the current is flowing due to the VS1. Correct? And this is equal to, we write Vn sin omega t divided by RL plus RL plus RS, and this is equal to In sin omega t. But remember, this IL1 is present between the 0 to pi only. So here we will write this current IL1 is present if the omega t is between 0 to pi. Then if I will write the IL2, then IL2 is equal to, we have VS2 divided by RL plus RF plus RS. Remember, what is the RF? RF, that is the forward bias resistance of the diode. And what is the RF? That is the secondary, that is the resistance of the secondary of the transformer, half of the secondary of the transformer. Remember. So this VS2 is nothing but it is minus Vn. Minus Vn sin omega t divided by RL plus RF plus RS. And here we have minus sign, therefore this current is minus In sin omega t. Minus Im sin omega t. And this current is present between pi and 2 pi. Remember. So here we will write this condition that this is valid only the omega t is between pi and 2 pi. Okay. So here now already we have defined what is Im. Im is nothing but it is Vn divided by total resistance, that is Rn plus Rf plus Rs. Correct? So in this way we can represent the load current IL1 and IL2. So what is the total current? Total current of this rectifier we can write as IL is equal to IL1 plus IL2. Now remember, here IL1 is plus Im sin omega t and IL2 is minus Im sin omega t. So it doesn't mean that the total current is zero. You cannot take this kind of the algebraic summation. Otherwise the load current will be a zero. Why we cannot take the algebraic summation? Because whenever the IL1 is present, at that time the IL2 is absent, and whenever the IL2 is present, IL1 is absent. That IL1 and IL2, both the currents are flowing at a different time period, and therefore here we cannot have this kind of a simple algebraic summation. Correct? So the IL is not going to 0. Okay. Now we will calculate what is the DC current. In case of the half wave rectifier, I already mentioned that the DC current is nothing but it is a average current. So here if you take the average of this load current IL, that will give you the DC current. And let us calculate this DC current. Average current, or we can say IDC. So in case of the half wave rectifier, I already explained that how to calculate the average. Average means we are taking the summation of different current, that IL1, IL2 plus IL3 plus IL4 for a one complete cycle. And that summation means that we are taking the integration from 0 to 2 pi, that is IL d omega t, and then we divide by 2 pi. So if you solve this integration, that will give you the value of the average current. Okay, so how we can solve it? 1 upon 2 pi. Now this integration we have to divide in two parts. One integration will be from a 0 to pi, where we have IL1 d omega t, and another integration will be from pi to 2 pi, the IL2 d omega t. This is equal to 1 upon 2 pi. Now 0 to pi, IL1 is Im sin omega t d omega t, and another integration pi to 2 pi is minus Im sin omega t d omega t. So now we have simple integration. In both the integration, Im is a constant, so I will take it out. The Im by 2 pi will be there. Then here we have an integration of sin omega t, that is a minus cos omega t from 0 to pi. And then we have a minus sign if we take it out. Then this will be a integration sin omega t will be minus cos omega t, that will be pi to 2 pi. And here, if we put this value of omega t, upper limit and the lower limit, you will find it is a 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Remember. So this is equal to Im by 2 pi. Now cos omega t is equal to pi, so it is a minus 1, and minus minus will be a plus 1. Same way, if you put it this 0, then also it will be a plus 1. Here also a plus 1. This is also a plus 1. And here, so this is the 4. Now this 4 is cancelled with this, you will get 2. So we have a 2Im by 5. Remember, in case of the half wave rectifier, that the obtained DC value of the current was a Im by pi, because at that time only one diode was conducting. Here now the two diodes are conducting alternately, and that's why the load current is the DC current is double, and it is 2 Im by pi. Okay. Now we calculate a RMS value. Or a load current, and it is defined as IRMS. So whenever you want to find out the RMS, first of all you take the square of the function, that is my IL square. Then the mean is 0 to 2 pi, and divide by 1 upon 2 pi, and then we take this under root. and if you solve this integration, will give you the RMS value of this load current. So again here, we have to divide this integration in two parts, 1 upon 2 pi, and the first integration from the 0 to pi, that is a in sine omega t d omega t, so whole square, plus another integration will be from pi to 2 pi minus in sine omega t whole square d omega t. If you take this in square, it will be a common by 2 pi, in square by 2 pi, and then we have this integration of sine square omega t. Here also the integration will be of a sine square omega t. Correct? So I will take a single integration, that is from 0 to 2 pi sine square omega t d omega t. Remember here in both the integration the function is same, sine square omega t, so we can combine this integration from 0 to 2 pi. This is equal to a in square by 2 pi, and to solve this integration here 0 to 2 pi. Now instead of sine square omega t, we write 1 minus cos 2 omega t divided by 2 d omega t. This is equal to under root of in square by 2 pi. Then if I will take a integration of 1 by 2, it will be a omega t divided by 2. And the integration of cos 2 omega t will be a sine 2 omega t divided by 2 into 2 will be a 4, and the limit is from 0 to 2 pi. So here IRMS we can write under root of in square by 2 pi, then inside we write the omega t divided by 2. Omega t is equal to 2 pi, and this will be 2 pi divided by 2. Then if we put the omega t is equal to 2 pi, so sin 4 pi will be a 0. Then here if we put the omega t equal to 0, it will be 0. Then the sin 0 will be also a 0. So this is my integration. So these two will be cancelled, and this pi and the pi is cancelled. So IRMS is equal to under root of in square by 2, and this is equal to, we can write in by root 2. So here now you compare this value with the half wave rectifier. In half wave rectifier the RMS value was in by 2, but in case of the full wave rectifier it is in by root 2, and this value of the RMS is like a RMS value of your AC current. Remember, in that case also IRMS is given by in by root 2. In full wave rectifier also this value is in by root 2. Why it is same? The shape of the signals are different, but the RMS value is same, because whatever the negative cycle is there in the AC, when we take the square of the function, it is going to be a positive. And in that case, the shape of the full wave rectifier and the AC signal is going to same, and that's why the RMS value is also same. Now in the next lecture, we will discuss about the efficiency of the full wave rectifier and the ripple factor.